Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. Not going to talk about any handicapping in this one. This video is remembering Dave Malinsky. You may not know him, or you may know him. I guarantee you somewhere along the line you've read his work. You may not even known it. Back in the days, he used to write for Winning Points, one of the biggest newsletters in the country, Sports Reporter, Playbook, Gold Sheet, and Winning Points were the mainstays. And he wrote the college football section for Winning Points and was very good. Passed away this past week. He was doing what he loves doing. Dave Melinsky was an avid hiker, went to Mount Charleston all the time. Loved a certain tree, the bristlecone pine trees. They're way up there on Mount Charleston, and he was missing for a week before they were found. The autopsy report hasn't made it official, but it looks like he had a heart attack while he was, hiking, and it took a while to find him. And I'm going to talk to you guys. I know going back in the days, you guys are both from Cleveland. Mark Lawrence, when he started the Playbook newsletter, Dave Melinsky was a part of that at the beginning. Tell us about Dave Melinsky.
Yeah, this is the second guy in our industry that's been very highly respected that passed away in probably the last 10 years. Mike Lee was probably a decade ago. And
it might be more now.
It might be more than a decade. But Dave was in really good shape. He was just, an accident happened, something happened, we don't know yet. But he was a guy that had so many interests, and so many people knew him because of different things. I knew him obviously because he's a handicapper. And a few years ago, we were at the handicapping seminar at the Westgate, and Dave was there. And I was so excited to see him because I hadn't seen him in a while. And he said he was going to do some things in town, and he worked with a place that we used to be at, and he did some things. And people always, when somebody passes away, they say good things about the person. I have yet to hear a single negative about Dave. I call Dave the handicapper's handicapper because you know how it is when we're out in the sports book or somebody recognizes, they want to come up and pick our brain. That's the way I was when I was out to dinner with Dave or I would see Dave. He was, I've been doing this 35 years. He was at the next level. He was at a level higher than anybody that I know, and there's a lot of talented people in our industry. Some known, some not known. But Arnie Lang's one of those guys that is, you just sit with Arnie and you learn something. And that's the way Dave was. And he never come off as being the smartest man in the room, even though he always was. Yeah. He always was. Everybody that was in that room knew it. While others think they're the smartest man in the room, usually never. Right. Dave was, and he didn't come off that way. And everything he did, he was good at, and such a great writer. And, I always say, I said, not that I always agreed with his opinions on a game or he was going to win any more than anybody else. He was giving you some information that you didn't have. You say, oh, man, I didn't realize that. It's like Arnie Lang's very similar, and hopefully Arnie's going to be around for a while. But they'll start talking. They'll say, this guy, he wasn't recruited to this school, and this and that, and so he's got extra motivation here. And Dave would come up with that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, my God, where did he get that information from? That's the way Dave was. And everybody loved Dave that knew Dave. There's so many people on the internet that have talked about Dave, never met him. Right. And they've learned so much from him. And it's a major blow to the industry, a major blow, obviously, to his family. He is just one of the guys that could have done anything. And now that we're getting close to legalizing the sports gaming, he could have been one of the big guys. He could have been the Brett Musburgers or the Bermans or any of those other guys that you see on national TV. He was that good.
Ralph, I know you worked with, Mark Lawrence some too. And, as Brian said, there's not been one person that, and not after the fact. I've never heard anybody before this happened ever have anything bad to say about Dave Melinsky.
Yeah, a lot of times you can be, you could be sportsbook friendly, you can be customer friendly, or you can be co-handicapper friendly, but rarely are you looked at a higher level from all three. You know, handicappers, when handicappers look up to other handicappers, that's the best compliment you could give them. Same thing with sportsbook directors. I mean, we know so many cocky sportsbook directors that think they know everything and they set the lines and, you know, they're happy to do what they want. But if Dave came up with some new idea, you could be sure they would tweak that idea. You know, Brian talked about Dave always coming up with next level things. And I'll just give you an example. You know, college basketball in December. How much the difference home court edge when kids were not in school. You know what I mean? There was a different crowd there. Dave thought of those kind of things and came up with a way to handicap differently when kids are on spring break and you don't have the same, you know, you don't have the same student body or summer break. So, you know, I didn't get to work with Dave much, just briefly. At the end, we were in some meetings with some things we were doing together. But even if you didn't know Dave's stuff, like you said, you've read some of his stuff, or you have learned something from something he did, and that's the biggest compliment of all.
And I can tell you, and like you said, the thinking outside the box and stuff, that's some of the things that, like you said, puts a light bulb on. I might not have actually taken one thing that he said, but it triggers your thought process to think of something else. And for me, you know, with a lot of the different situational things that I've done, it's reading things that he has done that puts you in that direction to do that. At the end of the day, we're all going to use numbers. Every handicapper is going to use numbers. But there's other intangibles to handicapping, and you never stop learning. And it was so good to read. He did that daily column where he was doing the point blank. And, you know, it was a must read. You know, people wanted to hear what he had to say. He was doing a lot of work recently with VEASAN. He was on there constantly. And when you listen to Dave, not only were you learning something, but he made it entertaining when he spoke. He was probably, I mean, you could see it through his writing, and whenever he talked, he was so articulate on the way he conveyed everything. And like I said, when you did talk to him or listen to him, you never felt like he was talking down to you, even though you knew that he was clearly the smartest man in the room.
We're in an industry where there's a lot of competition.
A lot of egos.
A lot of egos, and a lot of people get jealous. You know, why did that guy get that job? Why does this guy have that job? I've been doing this for 35 years, and I can only think of 4 people I don't like that's in our industry. In reality, we all want each other to win. We all want our viewers to win. It's just we all go about a different way of doing it. And for our entire industry, with as much jealousy as there is, to nobody say anything bad about Dave, as you pointed out, when he was alive and after he's passed, just tells you what kind of guy he was.
Yeah. Our condolences to Dave's family. I know that it was a week from hell for them. There's no, you know, he was missing for a week, and you know, he was supposed to have dinner that night with his mom, and I just can't imagine what she went through for that week. But we thought that it would be right to do it. And Dave, we're going to miss you. We can still go back and read all your work, and appreciate everything you've done for this industry. Thanks for watching this video and letting us talk about one of our colleagues.